It's been over a decade since AWS and Intel began our journey together. We've combined the depth and breadth of AWS cloud services with the performance and dependability of Intel custom processors, so our customers can build tools for the fast-growing future. Together, we're making technology more accessible by optimizing our global infrastructure. And we're reinventing the capabilities of data and analytics with powerful AI through an engineering collaboration that pushes the boundaries of innovation. But it wasn't these ideas that changed the world. It's how AWS customers use these innovations to bring their own ideas to life. It's how Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center can analyze data from more than 15,000 biological samples. A process that previously took 7 years of compute time now takes just 7 days. It's how the Australasian Wildlife Genomics Group at the University of Sydney can support conservation efforts of native wildlife by reducing genomic analysis time from 10 days to 5 hours. It's how Europe's Delivery Hero shortened their monthly billing runs, a 20-hour task, down to 90 minutes. And we're excited because this is only the beginning. Today, AWS and Intel are working together to put our most advanced technologies into your hands, so you can think bigger, build better, and innovate faster. Whether it's tomorrow or 10 years down the road, we can't wait to see what you do next.
Please welcome on stage Klaus Bürg, General Manager for AWS in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
Good morning, Berlin. How are you doing today? Welcome to our 2022 AWS Summit here in Berlin. I'm truly blown away to be here with us again in front of you after 2 years sitting in front of our remote workplaces. So it's really great to be here. I feel really lucky and it feels spooky at the same time, to spend time with you here in Berlin, but also to have time in a face-to-face setup. Let me start with a question. Who of you was here 10 years ago? Show me some hands. Anybody? Only a few. Good. It's hard to believe, but 10 years ago, we had our first AWS Summit here in Berlin in the Cubics at Alexanderplatz, and it was with 148 attendees at the time. And the keynote speaker back then was no other than Andy Jassy, who gave a keynote on how to navigate in the cloud. And as you might know, he moved on last year to become the new Amazon CEO. He took over from Jeff Bezos, and he handed over to a person called Adam Selipsky, who is known to AWS, but he joined us from Tableau at the time. And so here we are again. I'm talking to you. I'm not yet the new CEO talking to you, but still we do talk about how you navigate through the cloud and how we as AWS can help you doing so. The beauty in preparing such an event is really, I had to review all the submissions, what we can talk about today. So we had great customer stories, technology innovations, partner successes, and more. So all things being worthwhile to talk about, and you will hear and learn a lot of them in the next 2 days. But for the next 15 minutes or so, I picked just a few themes from which I know those are top of mind for you when it comes to AWS. I will touch on how do we care and handle your data. So we'll talk about data privacy, data security, and data sovereignty. AWS, software made in Germany, is the second topic I want to touch today. And it's close to my heart because it's somehow a testament on how do we invest in the countries we operate, and in this case, to Germany. And then the third topic is something as well we should all care about. So how do we help as organizations to become a more equal, a more diverse, and a more inclusive workplace or economy? My colleague Matthias Patzak and two great customers will join us here at stage. So the customers are Personio and Centogene, and they will follow me after this session. Look, I feel I can't really start talking about business without touching on what's happening right now in Ukraine. I personally still remember the morning after that night when Russia invaded Ukraine and started the war. I personally, I'm filled with sadness, but also at the same time with hope that this war is soon, hopefully, over. While AWS has no direct operations in Ukraine, we do have employees and partners who are from or have deep relationships or connections to the country. So what can big tech companies like AWS do to help? AWS has been working closely with Ukrainian customers and partners and the government to keep their applications secure and working. To continue supporting that important work, AWS is offering 15 million in cloud computing credits, but also expertise and resources. And it has been, and still is, truly amazing to see how teams have stepped up and our technology does support these efforts. There's one thing I found particularly important or interesting. It's called SUCHO. It stands for Saving Ukrainian Cultural Heritage Online. So SUCHO was founded just a few days after the war began. And the mission is really to identify and archive irreplaceable data and content from Ukrainian cultural heritage websites. Most cultural websites were hosted in physical locations, and so they have been potentially on risk when Ukraine got under attack. To help accelerate the work, AWS has joined this effort to scale up the web archiving process in the AWS cloud. So far, the project has archived more than 25 terabytes of data from over 3,000 websites, and many of the websites have been going offline right after the migration has finished. The recovery from the war will probably take many, many years, and we will continue working with NGOs, our employees, and our partners to support the relief efforts and those affected. And every little help makes a difference. So if you have not already done so, I would really encourage you all to do your little piece, because every little thing really does matter. With more and more customers adopting cloud and moving in also business-critical and mission-critical applications to the cloud, reliability of the cloud, but also data privacy, data security, and data sovereignty is of increased importance. And this is and has always been truly job zero for AWS. In recent months, I have observed an increased interest in this topic. and it's kind of understandable. So almost every AWS customer I talk to really wants to discuss this topic around data privacy and data security. A long list of our customers today in Austria, in Switzerland, in Germany are operating in highly regulated spaces. So think about financial services, healthcare, insurances, and they all trust AWS for their sensitive production workloads. So let me talk a little bit about why they do that. AWS is really working hard to comply with internationally recognized standards. Think about like this. While you as our customers and our partners innovating in the AWS cloud, at the same time, the AWS cloud is being enhanced as well. So we are adding new features, new services, and all those as well relevant to meet those latest standards. For example, AWS has been the first cloud service provider in 2016 already to receive the C5 certificate in Germany from the Bundesamt für Sicherheit in der Informationstechnik, also called BSI. Just this February, we announced that we have added 18 services to the new C5 scope, which means that now a total of 141 AWS services are now attested under the C5 attestation. 52 of our AWS cloud services were recently declared compliant with the Data Protection Code of Conduct of Cloud Infrastructure Providers in Europe, also known as CISPE. Why does this matter? It really provides a framework for you as our customers to comply with the GDPR, so the General Data Protection ruling in place. And it's the first pan-European data protection code of conduct for cloud infrastructure service providers. In addition to data privacy and data security, AWS is, of course, respecting European data sovereignty aspirations. We understand that freedom of choice is a fundamental customer need, and you as our customers always retain ownership where the data resides, who has access to it, and how does operate that data. Personally, I'm often being asked, is AWS really disclosing customer information based on any law enforcement request? And I can tell you, if we do receive such a request, we do challenge each and every request that we receive. If it's overbroad, if we don't understand it, and if any government body asks us, we will push back first to get more information. In the last 6 months, so from July 1st to December 31st last year, we received 753 requests for data sharing. And now you might ask, how many of those resulted really in any disclosure of content data? And guess what? None. Zero. And by the way, this is an information which is not secret. You all have access to that, so we publish this information on our AWS website every 6 months. And we don't stop here. We offer a large network of AWS partners who can help manage your security and your compliance. T-Systems, as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, German IT service provider company, is exactly the right company for helping you to do so. This March, we announced a close collaboration with T-Systems on data protection. T-Systems, in this case, provides a comprehensive security service for AWS operating environments. And the managed service T-Systems provides adheres to GDPR and the so-called Schrems II ruling. And finally, we support industry initiatives like Gaia-X to define standards for the next generation of data infrastructure. We were involved in the very early days of Gaia-X, and we contributed to several work streams, to somehow reflect the reality of the common practices in building such cloud solutions. So to summarize, AWS stands ready to help play its part empowering Europe's new digital leadership. We are here to help you, as our customers and partners, to drive and accelerate cloud-driven innovation in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, but also to compete in your respective markets, but more importantly, many of you do compete even globally. Now coming to my second topic. In the beginning, I mentioned there is AWS software built or made in Germany. We are really very proud that some of the crucial parts of the AWS cloud are innovations made in Germany. But this is also as I said before, a reflection of our commitment to the markets in which we operate. So we are really investing big time. Germany produces some of the world's greatest academic minds and engineering talent. And this is why in 2013 already, we announced the opening of a development center in Berlin and also in Dresden. Since then, they do help build some of the core elements of the AWS cloud, and some super cool and cutting-edge research is as well made in Germany in a collaborative and often international setup. Let me give you some examples of that. In Dresden, the team is working on core parts of Amazon EC2, including the hypervisor, but also EC2 instance types. In Dresden, the team is also cooperating internationally to help develop some of the latest AWS technologies, including the new so-called Nitro hypervisor, so the virtualization platform that we run our AWS cloud on. Now, if you know a little bit about AWS, you know that the Nitro system provides enhanced security that continuously monitors, protects, and verifies the instance hardware and firmware. So as a result, some of the great security AWS provides, it's actually made in Dresden. Right here in Berlin, the team is really focused on machine learning and deep learning, and it's contributing to some of the latest AWS technologies you can find on the market. One example, Amazon SageMaker. The work being done here, it's helping to really democratize machine learning and deep learning technologies and making them really accessible to all of you, so to partners, but also to customers who are not, deep experts in machine learning. In 2017, we opened another research center in Aachen, where our Amazon Web Services AI group is located. The team in Aachen helped create Monitron. So Monitron is an end-to-end system that uses machine learning to detect abnormal conditions in industrial equipment and enables, as a result, so-called predictive maintenance situations and workloads that will help optimize your production. So that's a great technology for such an industrial-heavy market like Germany. In 2019, we created a new unit in our research center in Tübingen, so in the so-called Cyber Valley in Stuttgart, or close to Stuttgart. That's actually where I come from, so I'm a little bit proud about that one. So this research team is called LabLat. It's dedicated to open research in artificial intelligence. So if you want to know how AWS develops software internally, I really do recommend that you join the talk from my colleague, Jonathan Weiss, who is our Director for Software Development here from the Berlin Development Center, and he will speak today at 5 p.m. in this room. The teams in our development centers sit alongside teams of account managers, software development engineers, technical account managers, and many, many more. So a diverse set of people are really helping organizations of all sizes across Germany, across industries, to move to the AWS cloud. Which brings me really to my last topic for today. Studies have shown that times and times again, diversity, diverse teams really drive innovation. But there's really more in business, but also in private lives. Equality, inclusion, but are as well fundamental values of an economy, but also of a society. So when I reflect myself, I can safely say I would not, standing here in front of you, today if I wouldn't have had that single one female boss back in my early days of my career. She had an amazing emotional intellect, which enabled her to look at the people around her in a very different way. So allowing her to build teams where the team members complemented each other so that the product of that team was actually more than the sum of its parts. Diverse teams are incredibly valuable, and you can see how individuals look at specific situations from very different angles and at challenges from very different perspectives. And this makes such a huge difference for me back then, but as well for all of us here in this room. AWS is really a big tech company, and we impact the world in many ways and flavors. And we are really far from being perfect as of today. Now, how does a big corporation like us really tackle this? We make it an explicit part of our culture of innovation. We set a company-wide goals to measure the progress against the goal we have taken on a quarterly basis. And we know that good intentions really don't work, but mechanisms do. So back to our culture elements. So we are using the same mechanisms that we use for our most important business initiatives: measurement and regular reviews to ensure progress. It's going to take time for us and consistency, but we are sure that we will be getting there over time. Here in DACH, I'm really proud to say we have so many employees which are involved in initiatives in all flavors and shapes. Just let me touch on a few of them. Our employees in Austria talk to young people about careers in the tech industry in an event called the Wiener Töchtertag. At the end of last year, hundreds of participants participated in Her Hack in Switzerland, where the AWS team supported that hackathon. And in Germany, AWS Get IT. This is a social program where we want to inspire students in the 7th grade to consider a career in tech industry. Today, here at the summit, we will get to see the AWS Get IT finals. 2 groups of students will compete in an app design challenge, and they have come up with 2 really good ideas. So that they will pitch them today, and I'm really proud that I will be part of that jury assessing which ones is going to win. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I feel really encouraged about what we have been seeing and coming from them. So if you're interested, feel encouraged to join us at 2 o'clock in Hall 4. Now, time has come to introduce you to the next speaker. He has been a CTO with one of our key customers before, so he has experienced, the real life on being at the customer and have to work with AWS as a technology. Now here he is at AWS. He joined AWS, a little time back, and he is a principal for so-called digital advisory. Pleasure to have him here. Please welcome Matthias Patzak.
Thanks. Good morning. Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Thanks for your laughs, and maybe later for the applause. This applause and the laughs, they go to Gregor Hoppe, sitting here in the 2nd row. Gregor created this part of the keynote, and he was intended to give this talk tomorrow. Unfortunately, Gregor has some issues with his voice. So I had to jump in on short notice. This is why I have a bit of a mixed feeling being on stage today. Nevertheless, I really love to being on this event. I really love the vibrant atmosphere of I would say, like a beanstalk. And I really love bumping into friends that I haven't seen for a while, like I've seen yesterday evening when we prepared the keynote, former colleagues from AutoScout. I love to have chats with colleagues that I just know from video conferences. And to my surprise, some of them are a bit taller than I thought. Some of them are a bit shorter. and some of them are just a bit more. Our event, our venue is at capacity. So it looks like I'm not the only one who enjoys having real-life conversations. I hope you will enjoy these next 2 days with a lot of real-life conversation with the AWS teams, with our partners, and with all the peers. For now, I want to share how the cloud can be a critical innovation driver and how your organization can take full advantage of it. We will also hear from 2 of our customers how they democratize medical diagnostics and how they break through past constraints. The pandemic served as a harsh reminder that there is no better preparation for the future than expecting the unexpected. Holding this in-person event is possible due to the rapid development of vaccines. And modern cloud technology sped up this development. Moderna was able to complete the sequencing of its mRNA COVID-19 vaccine in just 2 days using machine learning built on AWS. The pandemic forced many organizations to rethink the business model, at least temporarily. Airlines served food in grounded airplanes, and home delivery became the new default. Many of these organizations underwent a stress test for their IT. For example, to scale up their e-commerce operations or to scale down their operations, especially in travel and in the hospitality sector. None of these organizations could foresee this exact scenario, but they could prepare for the sudden change. Organizations who ran their systems in the cloud were able to scale up to meet demand or scale down to adjust to the cost base. Those who had adapted to a modular architecture and had invested in automated testing and software delivery were able to react faster. Optimizing for the steady state has become a risky proposition. Modern technologies allows us to better handle change. And they are so strong that it's taking worth a quick step back to see how far we have come. The internet became a thing when I was in college. And that's not really long ago. And now we can't remember how we solved coding problems without Stack Overflow. The internet democratized access to communication and information. And that's extremely powerful. Innovators no longer stand on the shoulders of the giants. They stand on the shoulders of everyone. But having an idea is just the starting point. You have to implement it. And that's why cloud computing was such a giant leap forward. In the cloud, everyone can implement an idea. Often even within the scope of our free tier. Over 100 services are part of this free tier, including up to 1 million serverless Lambda function invokings per month, or, for example, 25 gigabyte of database storage in DynamoDB. Innovation is no longer a function of your budget, but a function of your imagination. The shift from universal access to universal creation is obvious when you look at available internet offerings. Many early offerings, such as search or social networks, were largely global. Universal access via the internet gave us those services as a critical foundation. But there weren't many such offerings because you had to be really big and have enormous skills to build it. Cloud computing lowered their barriers to entry. And that is how it enabled local innovation across the globe. And I think this is fantastic, because not all things are global. Take something that might seem global at first, payments. On the surface, it seems to be just the exchange of funds. Or people in some countries use credit cards, while others, they prefer cash. In some regions, they use multiple currencies, and cryptocurrencies are popping up everywhere. So if your business wants to handle online payments, you have a lot of regional choices. You might be familiar with Stripe, who's been an AWS customer since 2011. If you're in Southeast Asia, you might use Omais. Your Middle East customers might prefer Careem Pay. In Europe, especially in Germany, you might just use Klarna. All of them innovate on top of AWS, serve local markets and diverse customer preferences. Or, if you as a customer want to order fashion items in our region, you might do from Otto, Zalando, Peek & Cloppenburg, or Adidas. If you want to buy some electronics, you might compare the prices on Idealo. All of them built on top of the AWS cloud. Democratizing creation brings innovation and choice. No one has a monopoly on good ideas. For 16 years, cloud computing has been a key driver behind democratizing innovation and creation, and therefore increasing choice. When speaking about the universal access to resources, one important field is healthcare and medical science. Behind any medication or treatment plan stands extensive research. And that's why cloud computing and machine learning are excellent tools for medical applications. It also allows us to make major progress in the detection and treatment of rare diseases. On a global scale, those diseases aren't really rare. Estimates suggest that 300 million people, 350 million people suffer from rare diseases, but they are difficult to diagnose. Centogene, founded in Rostock in 2006, combines medical research and cloud data processing on AWS to democratize genetic testing. Let's hear from their R&D lead how they use cloud technology to boost medical science. I welcome on stage Anna Popic from Centogene.
Matthias.
Hi, Anna.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure being here today. My name is Anna Popic, and I'm head of Centogene Belgrade, working in the research and development of bioinformatics. Today, I want to tell you a story about how I joined Centogene and how AWS and Centogene are helping patients around the world. In 2019, my best friend Marco was suddenly suspected to suffer from a very serious disease. Despite the urgency of the case, we went through 5 months of different medical examinations and conflicting opinions. It was a time of worry, hope, and confusion because we never knew what lies ahead. And Marco was a hero because his positive attitude was the only constant thing that kept us going. As a bioinformatician, I was certain in one thing: we needed to do DNA sequencing. Because the reality is that almost every disease ultimately arises from our genome. And human genome is a very complex thing. So complex that it took International Genome Project more than 13 years and $3 billion to first decipher it through a process called sequencing. Sequencing is turning biological samples into digital information which can be read, processed, and analyzed by computers. But much has changed in the previous 20 years. The advances in the next generation sequencing now allow us to sequence the whole genome in less than a day and for less than $1,000. And this generates a vast amount of data, because each patient is around 80 gigabytes of data. So now, the paradigm has shifted. Sequencing is easy, and clinical interpretation becomes the real challenge of any diagnostic lab. So, interpretation that comes after sequencing requires an enormous amount of algorithm development and combines the expertise which ranges from molecular biology, data science, into something that we call bioinformatics. Bioinformatics allows us to sift through this enormous amount of data in a way that it would be impossible to do manually. By using tools for simple metrics and statistics to tools which use applied machine learning. And these tools heavily depend on computing power. Now, to give you an idea about what interpretation actually means, I would like you to imagine a genome as a puzzle of 3 billion pieces. You have a reference picture, so you know how your patient's puzzle is supposed to look like. And now you need to align this puzzle. If done manually, it would take a lot of time, and this is why we use bioinformatic algorithms. But once aligned, the next step is to detect all the missing pieces in this puzzle, or changes, which we called mutations. The truth is that even a healthy person has more than 5 million benign changes in the puzzle, and these are the things which makes us unique. In the end, there will be only 1 or 2 mutations which are problematic and which are actually responsible for the disease. So how can we find a needle in a haystack? To do that, we need 4 different elements: sequencing, bioinformatics, knowledge from existing genetic data, and medical genetic expertise. So I was looking for the answer for my friend Marco, and it led me to Centogene. Because Centogene, since 2006, has been collecting information, clinical information and genetic information from more than 650,000 patients around the world. And they have used all 4 elements to diagnose this patient and to get to the medical results. So at this point, I was certain that Centogene could help Marco, and we sent his sample to the diagnostic lab in Rostock. Once we got the report back, it was the moment of truth and the end of uncertainty. Knowing what we are dealing with, understanding the disease pathogenesis, and being completely certain of the results, it was incredible. And this is the reason why I've joined Centogene. And together with my team, I'm focused on one fundamental question: how can we help even more patients around the world to get to the diagnosis faster? Now that the sequencing is more accessible to the NGS laboratories, how can we enable them to get the approach of our interpretation procedures? And I'm very happy to say, CentoCloud. CentoCloud is a cloud-based software as a service platform powered by AWS, which enables the NGS diagnostic labs around the world to get the access to our database with the knowledge of rare and neurodegenerative diseases and to the knowledge of our medical experts. For the first time, laboratories around the world can benefit locally and get the local access to this cloud solution so that they can build the state-of-the-art diagnostic procedures and bring the best diagnostics insights to their patients. How did AWS help us achieve this? Security first. Genetic data is considered to be the most private health information, and the protection of this data is critical. By using the custom-built AWS infrastructure, we were able to meet even the stringent regulations in order to keep this data protected. Another big problem with bioinformatics is the sheer amount of data that we generate, even for a small analysis. So every month, we generate around 150 terabytes of new data, and this is why parallel and atomic access is extremely important for us. In 2019, Centogene was using bioinformatics pipelines and running them in data center, and it was working great. But we needed to scale up because the number of cases just kept growing. By using the out-of-the-box AWS components, we could shift the focus from the infrastructure and focus on optimizing and creating best possible solutions for our bioinformatics pipeline. So by optimizing bioinformatics pipeline and by using FPGA F1 instances, we are now able to detect raw mutations from the whole genome samples in less than 2 hours, compared to, so it's 25% of the time which was needed back in 2019. By using dynamic scaling, batch jobs, Lambda function, and step functions for the actual processing of the data, we have actually shortened our turnaround time. Our bioinformatics platform uses Apache Airflow, which is managed by AWS, for high-level task orchestration and for control over our bioinformatics pipeline. And the vital part of our biodata bank is Aurora database, which currently handles more than 20 billion IO requests per month. It also enables us to create isolated clones for development and for medical validation. And this is extremely important for us because we are constantly adjusting our bioinformatics algorithms to the new knowledge that we get from our biodata bank in order to get the best diagnostic insight. By combining the power of AWS and Centogene's expertise via Cento Cloud, we are now supporting all the heroes around the world, like my friend Marco, to get to the diagnosis faster. But what happened with Marco? He got his treatment. But for the 350 million people which are suffering from the rare diseases around the world, this is probably not the case. But I'm now very happy to say that with the resources, cloud resources provided by AWS, and with the help of our partners, we are now well on our way to achieve our mission, which is to create cure for more than 100 rare diseases in less than 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Anna. It's amazing to see how AWS Cloud supports your mission. Technology has become a critical enabler for innovation and responding to change. Two abilities that have become essential to surviving in a world of uncertainty. The shift also impacts how your IT departments work. After all, they are the ones dealing with the new technology. I compare the changing role of IT to a story from my teenage years. I grew up with cassette tapes. We put those into the tape player, and after some winding and spooling, we could play up to 45 minutes of music. Not long after that, the compact disc was invented. And it was better, it was more durable. It held more music and could start playing instantly. But although the CD was much better, it did not change how we interact with the music. We still had to buy a physical medium and insert it into the player. The CD improved an existing use case with better technology. What did not change was the model. What did change was the model of music streaming. Now we have 100,000 songs, 1 million songs, or 10 million songs at our fingertips. And we don't buy albums anymore. We have flat rates, and we pay by subscriptions. This describes the changing role of enterprise IT. In the past, enterprise technology has made existing things digital. It optimized existing processes. It made them faster, more reliable, but it didn't change the underlying model. It built what I call digital copies. It made compact discs. But disruptors, they built streaming. Technology can only deliver its true potential if the organization doesn't see it just as a technology upgrade, but as an opportunity to work differently. I like to explain it with an analogy. You might have seen those fancy Japanese knives. They are not just fancy, they are also expensive. And those are really excellent knives. But if you buy one of these knives, it does not make you a better cook. You need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in your skills. And you need to better understand the ingredients of the meals you cook. And you need to understand the recipes. It's not different with modern technology. Cloud technology will make you a better organization if you invest in a clear strategy, enable your workforce, and embrace change. Organizations often start to transform because they feel pressure. For example, from disruptors or shifting consumer and customer experiences. And the natural instinct is to respond with what they do well. They tighten the belt and they push harder. They put more coals on the fire and put more pressure on the boiler. And that seems to work initially. The steam train will go another 15 kilometers per hour faster. But we all know where this will end. It will end with a burst boiler. You cannot optimize yourself out of a disruption. A disruption is when someone changes the rules of a game. And those who still play by the old rules have already lost. One last piece of advice. When you are looking to transform, it's okay to be inspired by modern tech companies. For example, we, as AWS, we are most happy to share what has worked well for us and for other customers. But you should not copy someone else's success. Your transformation should maximize the assets that you already have. Your brand, your people, your intellectual property, your markets, and your products. As organizations are looking to transform, the CEO and the IT team often find themselves between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, cost pressures that dictates harmonization and standardization. On the other hand, the business that demands faster innovation and agility. Balancing these forces seems impossible until you realize that you can have both with the cloud. Cloud platforms harmonize your IT on a common base layer with uniform APIs, unified identity, and access management. But they have also been the biggest innovation drivers that corporate IT has seen in the last decade. So the cloud allows us to break through these past constraints. But that's not all that cloud can do. We used to do things quick and dirty or slow and properly. Modern methods like DevOps allows us to move faster with better quality. Machine learning tools like Amazon SageMaker can give users a tailored experience without breaking the bank. And with serverless tools like AWS Lambda, you can build prototypes quickly, but also can scale them to millions of users. No longer having to choose one of the elements over the other is the true power of the cloud. And that's why we observe that those organizations who think without those constraints, the ones who can see that there are more dimensions, are the ones who are most successful in the cloud journey. One AWS customer who has broken through existing constraints is Personio. Personio delivers a fresh take on human resource processes. Let's hear from Arseni Vashenin, co-founder and chief technology officer, how they are doing that.
Cool. Thank you, Matthias. It's great being here on the stage today, seeing so many of you live in the audience. In my role as a co-founder and CTO, I'm working together with our talented teams on technology vision and strategy to enable our future growth. So today, I will talk to you about our Personio growth journey, anticipating change and removing constraints by building the right architecture with internal platforms, and creating all of those platforms using great building blocks provided by AWS. We all know that great businesses are made of great people. And HR plays a crucial role in attracting those people, keeping them engaged, developing them, taking care of their well-being, and giving them all the tools to be successful at their job. It's a substantial responsibility. However, a lot of HR professionals struggle to find time for these very activities because their day-to-day is dominated by repetitive administrative work. In 2015, we have founded Personio to kill this administrative work and empower HR to drive excellence in people operations and strategy, and ultimately to make their organizations and enable them to be better. Inspired by a mission and with great support from our customers, we've been on average doubling the size of our organization and of our business every year since our founding. And now we operate in more than 80 countries, have more than 1,300 talented employees working from 5 European offices. We have more than 6,000 customers. Those are small and medium-sized enterprises that comes from various sectors, starting from IT to public sector and NGOs. In total, there are more than 500,000 users on our platform. However, even with 6,000 customers, we're still in the very beginning of our journey of building the category-leading HR platform in Europe. There are more than 1.7 million small and medium-sized enterprises in Europe, and more than half of them don't have any HR professional solution in place. That creates a multi-hundred billion market opportunity for us and allows us to build one of the most valuable software companies in Europe. To tackle this challenge, we're building a broad, mission-critical HR platform, a true people operating system for small and medium-sized enterprises. It covers every necessary aspect of people operations along the employee lifecycle, starting from sourcing a candidate and ending with employee performance management. It's all built upon a reliable foundation of highly efficient processes enabled by centralized data management, reporting, and automated workflows. It also connects seamlessly with other people-centric tools in the organizations, and ultimately, it helps HR to be strategic and for our customers to build resilient businesses. To build towards the vision of people operating system, we needed to level up our architecture. And we are migrating from a large monolithic system, which was key for us to find product market fit, to a loosely coupled architecture powered by microservices, which are organized around business domains. Loosely coupled architecture enables our engineering teams to move faster by reducing amount of duplication, and it allows us to increase reliability and robustness by reducing blast radius and limiting error propagation. And also, it allows engineers to select the right tools to solve specific challenges within their domains. However, it was not enough for us to just decouple the domains from each other. We're also creating a great internal platform which houses common building blocks for creating HR software. Those are things such as access rights or centralized data management. And it's all based on a great foundation of cloud infrastructure that helps us to address common architectural characteristics such as security, reliability, or scalability at scale. This picture looks fairly simple on the slide. However, by the end of the year, this architecture will house more than 160 services and will allow us to double the size of our product design and engineering organization, letting all this talent to collaborate at scale. To help us build the people operating system, we selected AWS as our cloud infrastructure provider. There are many reasons why AWS was the right choice for us, but I'll focus on 3 of them today. Firstly, AWS lets us build with great security and compliance defaults in mind. Those defaults revolve around such things as using ISO 27K compliant services or web application firewalls, which are easily integrated with our application load balancers and protect our customers against basic threats, but also using services such as key service for encryption at rest for all of our services. On-demand scalability allows us to use infrastructure efficiently and overcome some of our growing pains. For instance, Spot instances, combined with Elastic Kubernetes service, allow us to scale compute down during the weekends and at nights. We also use managed data stores, such as RDS, Elasticsearch, Elasticache, or DynamoDB, which allow us to change capacity while our customer base is growing or we're increasing our product offering. Last but not least, powerful automation capabilities, combined together with infrastructure as code, let us create reproducible infrastructure builds, and it's at the core of our internal platform self-service capabilities, which allow engineers to own the architecture, starting from the infrastructure fully. We're using Terraform and EKS to achieve this nowadays, and soon we are moving to CDK and Fargate to even further reduce the managerial overhead. armed with a powerful platform and the right infrastructure building blocks, we're also able to reinvent our business. Last year, we introduced a new software category to the market: People Workflow Automation. People Workflow Automation removes manual and fragmented processes and transforms them into automated workflows, reducing delays and making businesses more efficient. To build towards this vision, we're creating a great workflow orchestrator, which is located at the core of our internal platform and is relying on such services as Amazon's managed service for Kafka to work with events at scale. In summary, loosely coupled architecture, powered by internal platform, allows us to overcome constraints and anticipate change at scale. And AWS provides great building blocks to create such platforms and architectures. Now, if you want to hear more about how we're building the platform and the architecture, please attend a breakout session hosted by a staff engineer, Johannes, at 3 o'clock today. It was great being on stage, and I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Arseni. What an amazing story. One last slide from my side. Personi is a great example how technology is no longer an efficiency driver, but an enabler to work in different ways. And working differently allows you to break through past barriers and constraints. IT is no longer the place where good business ideas are just implemented. Your technology strategy and your business strategy, they fuel each other. New technology capabilities enable new business models. Going to the cloud doesn't mean opening a terminal window or typing cryptic commands. AWS has the largest and most dynamic community, as you say today, with millions of active customers and 100,000 partners worldwide. Many of them are right here with you. We still have 2 days of awesome content ahead of us, so I will pause here and take a breath. I hope you enjoyed the journey, from seeing how cloud democratizes creation to how it allows the organization to break through existing barriers. Klaus will share more about what lies ahead in the next 2 days. Enjoy!
Thank you, Matthias. And what great customer stories we have heard just a few minutes ago. I hope you could enjoy, some of the stories and new insights you got. But I want to use the last few minutes just to say a couple of thank yous to our global sponsors, because without all of you, such an event would not be possible. So we are also grateful to our diamond sponsors like Accenture, Deloitte, Reply, and our platinum sponsors, AMD, Cloudability, Confluent, Informatica, Snowflake, SoftServe, and Trend Micro. And I hope you take some time today to visit, our sponsors in the Expo Center. And what unites them all is really that they are super passionate about your transformation as our customers. So I really encourage you to go and talk to them during the summit. The AWS team and the customers and partners have created 95 sessions that cover the whole spectrum of AWS. So the agenda really offers something for everyone. Whether you're new to AWS or you're running multiple workloads already, or if you're just curious to learn more. We also have some great things going on at the summit. Check out the interactive demos and our demo center showcasing AWS services in action. Or go and try the Formula One arcade. That's actually pretty fun, so I've tried it myself. Or try the AWS Deep Racer League, where you can get your hands on with machine learning. And one other thing I wanted to mention. Last year, we received many inquiries from customers on how AWS can support their China business. And, they have very specific regulations over there. We listened, and just recently, we established that Grow to China with AWS. initiative to help customers with their China business. So if you want to learn more, please visit the AWS World next to Hall 1. I want to close by saying a big thank you to all of you, to our partners, to our customers on stage, and of course to the AWS team who work so passionately every day on your behalf. And specifically, I want to call out our AWS Summit team who really planned and organized this great event. Thank you for that. I'm leaving you with 2 asks. Transformation starts with the most senior leaders role modeling their willingness to change and envisioning, what the North Star is, so really where they want to go. So the question for you all, where do you want to be in 12 months from now? And the second question I have for you, transforming your business does not happen overnight. And for sure, not in one shot. Not doing anything now means you would stay where you are today. And I don't think that's what you have planned for yourself. So the result is you're not moving forward. So question for you, what's the next small little thing that you pick that you want to transform? Thank you all, and looking forward to talking to you over the next 2 days. Thank you.